Cars.co.za. Hello and welcome to the new podcast studio in the new Cape Town office of Cars.co.za. This, I must be honest, is a big moment for me. We've been building this office for 6 months. I'm actually almost overwhelmed with happiness. And another thing that is making me extraordinarily happy is the first OEM brand that we have ever hosted in our office and in our podcast studio is Chery South Africa. And joining me right now, if you're only listening to this or if you're watching this gentleman in front of me is Mr. Tony Liu, who is the Executive Deputy General Manager of Chery South Africa. Tony, what a pleasure. How are you?
Good, Ciro. Thank you very much. It's such a pleasure for me to be invited as a first interviewer. I think from your new office, it's really a pleasure to be here today.
No, it's an honor and a privilege to host you. And we're over the moon, really, that you took the time to come out and experience our new office as well. We've been, the aim here, and we'll put some pictures and some video on the screen. So if you haven't seen our new office yet, but this was the aim. The aim was to host VIPs such as yourself and Fareed, who's here as well from Chery South Africa. She's probably hanging out at the bar chatting to a Wadwa barista. But no, this is the aim. And for me, this is so rewarding to host you here. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I can feel that. Like I said, when working here, I feel it's a new fresh look of Cars.co.za, and also it's a new fresh really sound system here. Like I said to you, it's looked like our NVH laboratory of the Chery in China.
The NVH, the noise vibration harshness, with the sound foam in the roof and on the walls. Yeah,
it's so much a different experience. And then also, I think it's also the Chinese New Year. And recently, and in Chinese New Year, you move to a new office. So I wish Cars all the best in the new year.
Thank you. That's amazing. We really appreciate it. And I'm so looking forward to this chat. And it's been incredible as a motoring journalist. I don't think I've ever seen a brand launch and achieve the success that you have. 1,000 cars, over 1,000 a month, top 10 manufacturer, I think. And how has it felt being part of this and I'm sure enjoying this launching this brand in this country?
Yeah, thank you, Ciro. I think we are doing on the right track now. I think coming compared with 2 years ago, I think Chery it is making a different image to the public. I think 2 years ago that when we first started the business, apparently that's the Chinese brand is not having a very good brand image. But as it goes now, the things are starting to changing. So in 2021, you also know that at that time, the economic is not very good. And all the OEM is suffering from the semiconductor shortage. Yes. And a lot of South African that don't have the stock. I have to say that Chery has launched at the right time. And we have taken the chance. And because the other OEM didn't have the stock and China has supply in sufficient stock, and we're doing a lot of teasing with our great team. And then we launched the Tiggo 4 and Tiggo 7 and Tiggo, a series of cars. So it's something I think very important that is our South African consumers are starting realizing that this is something that we bring a very high value and different kinds of product compared with old time. So you may see the Chery from the old times that is brought in by a different distributor.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, and I wanted to chat to you about this because I think what's extraordinary about the success of Chery today in 2020s is that actually what you had to do was rescue a brand name, not just launch a new brand name. But as I understand it, Chery was not in South Africa officially. It was a distributor who moved the Chery cars 10, 15 years ago.
Yes, let me give you some more histories about Chery here in South Africa. As you know that Chery first was in the South African market, I think 2027, brought in by the McCarthy at that time was a group.
2007.
2007.
Yes.
2000, yes. Yeah, sorry, 2007. 2007. And then later we have launched a few different cars, and smaller cars.
QQ.
And J2 or J3 and Tiggo series. Then it came into Motors, which is now previously the Imperial Group, has some cooperation with McCarthy. They formed a part of the JV together, continue to bring this Chery into the country. But in 2015, this kind of cooperation has stopped because China has redoing the structure of the right-hand drive product. So we have decided now at the time to stop a little bit for the right-hand drive vehicles. So we see after 2015.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a lot of new product coming out, but the servicing of the parts, I mean, servicing of the customer is still there. So actually, in the time come to 2017 and 2019, as it goes, the Chinese exporting industry is starting to getting more tractions and starting increasing now. So our head office in China has decided to relaunch the right-hand drive strategy. Well, our first country to be launched our right-hand drive product is in South Africa. So that's in 2019. I mean, I was in China, spent almost 1.5 years. I mean, to convince the management team in China that why at that time that we need to do a subsidiary model instead of a distribution model.
Register the business.
Yes.
Yeah, proper subsidiary. Yeah.
So it's a different decision. It's a different business model. It's a difficult decision because at the time that a lot of other, I think OEMs, is still trying, to try a different new kinds of business model. But Chery is the first one to say, at the time, because it's in the COVID time. And COVID time, people thinking that economic is down, economics is not good. It's not very good to do new investment into overseas market. But apparently, I think this is also the opportunity. So we have done a lot of research. We have done a lot of Q&A, basically need to answer all the questions. Why we need to set up the subsidiary? How are you going to overcome the same problem that happened previously and stop it happening again? How you do your marketing? How you servicing the local customers? How you make a difference? And what is the dealer network strategy? Finance, all kinds of these things we must put into the table and evaluate it. So, and luckily, I think our management in China that's making a very good decision. Finally, we have set up our own business model. I think this is a critical decision to set up our own subsidiary company in South Africa.
I agree.
As compared with distribution model, this is totally different. As you can see the outcome.
Yes. And I mean, I've been a motoring journalist for close to 20 years. And 2007 is actually when I kind of started my career. I just finished studying actually, but I was starting to get test cars actually even in second year of my varsity, and I actually dented my first ever test car. But that's a story for another day. I thought my career was over. But I mean, as somebody whose job it is to assess vehicles, I think, and I mean absolutely no offense by this, but the Chery products that arrived were inferior to what was available on the rest of the market. And what I think is mind-blowing to us as motoring journalists and observers of the market is how quickly Chery went from those vehicles, such as the QQ, to what are incredible quality products. I mean, that must be one of the most rapid R&D developments in motoring history. And I'm fascinated as to how Chery achieved that from something such as the QQ to now a Tiggo 4, which is a car that I recommend to everyone in that segment.
I think there's in the past 10 years or even longer, I mean, in the right beginning, the Chery, apparently that we have the history almost 25 years. Our chairman is starting from engineering background.
Okay.
He's starting a long working experience, I think, in the VW. So that's why technology, I think, is the foundation for Chery. The first reason I would say is that we have a very strong technology background. So in the last few years, and Chery have a few all kinds of new technology that we developed in terms about the new power, Kunpeng power system, and that is IC. Not only IC, we not only have the IC, but also have the PHEVs and BEVs. So the second one is our platform. We call it MaaS platform. Different kinds of platform. We call it T1X or T3 and different kinds of platform, because now manufacture a car and designing a car, I think especially from the R&D side, that you need to have a platform ability. So in other words, we can develop all kinds of cars in one platform, which is going to minimize our cost of doing the R&D of the investment. That is making a bigger changes. And a third one is we are heading a lot into intelligent driving, intelligent cabin. And that is something I think really going to looking forward to the future, because that is where the trend is going to coming from. I think we have formed set up a few different our own subsidiary in China to establish to especially focus on research and development of the intelligent driving, intelligent cabin that can be utilized in our future vehicles. And the last one is our Galaxy ecosystem, and that is involved with a lot of bring new partners into our technology system. So I think this is first one is technology. Like I said, there is 5 different kinds of different technology to support the technology. A second one is very important is we are customer oriented, because I think the biggest change that Chery has made in a few years time is all the product that we have developed and put into the market is based on every country's customer voice. I think that is a critical part.
You really take that feedback very seriously.
Yes. Like I give you an example that, before we entered into South African market, we need to having this vehicle to be tested locally.
Yeah.
So we had to run a program like every car need to be tested almost more than 40 to 50,000 and checking the mileage, checking the fuel consumption
on local soil,
in local
conditions.
In the local condition, because it can be adapted into Chinese market, but whether it can be adapted into the local market, it can be something, very difficult. So we have to test our cars. We almost every vehicle we have to test up to 50,000 kilometers to a certain mileage. That when we say okay, and the homologation is okay, and then we're starting doing the importing in batches.
I see.
So that is from the technical point, we are very careful and serious. And another point is from customer voice. The customer, what they needed is different from China. Maybe the Chinese consumer is what needed, So that is a very important part. I think as our colleagues, Jim Lee has mentioned, I think the biggest changes we have made is after every new product that launched into market, we will do our thousands survey into direct communication with our
with the consumers who have bought your product.
Yes, with our customers directly. So this survey goes our processing center, which is a product team, that they will need to summarize, okay, this feature is what they want. Is this feature is we need to delay it or we need to add it. So that's why you see why the reason our Tiggo 4 can keep on increasing. I think you can see last year, very quickly, we have introduced another lead version.
Okay.
The lead version is more, I think, especially made for South African consumers. And that pricing is very key. And also we have de-specced a little bit. And normally this kind of change, I think in the normal OEM is taking about 2 or 3 years, even longer. But we can do it sometimes small changes, even 6 months. We can realize that. So we can see we quickly put into the market and getting the customers really good feedback on the new models.
That's serious flexibility and agility. Forgive me for not knowing, but what is the price point on the new car you mentioned?
The Tiggo 4 Lead, which is currently we have, I think was introduced at the end of last year. That is starting from 279.
$279 is very
entry
good
level.
price. Very good price.
Entry level still have 10 years, 1 million engine warranty, and still have a little more small service plan, but still it's very really value for the customer. So the very biggest change, to answer your question, I think, is a customer focusing strategy, and customer oriented focusing strategy. And the same for the other models, as our colleagues had mentioned. I think the different kinds of new models is going to be in the market. So it's also our updating of the new product is very quick compared with old times.
And we're definitely going to talk about Jaecoo and Omoda. There's some exciting news there. And also, we're a bakkie market. I'm going to have to ask you about bakkies at some stage. But I mean, I think, and I definitely appreciate your answer, but I think that I appreciate that. I mean, there must have just been an enormous amount of hard work around the world and in China to rapidly get to a point where the products are world class and competing internationally. And we just learned it was an honor to be joined by your colleagues from China, Jim and Cedric. And I mean, the numbers are staggering: 101% growth year on year. That's just insane. And 80,000 employees and 10,000 people working in R&D. 10,000. I mean, why? It would be great. Why don't you guys just run the country? I think everything would be better that way.
That is another discussion we're going to have.
We just hand over South Africa to you guys. But I mean, 10,000 people in R&D. That is a phenomenal figure. Are they spread out around the world?
Yes, we actually having about 8 R&D centers, different globally. I mean, Europe, Japan, and even in the North American, in the big countries like Brazil, Russia. So because of the volume big, so we got in total about 8 R&D centers located in the in the worldwide.
Wow. I think I tell you what, let's go to bakkies, because I mean, these are the best-selling vehicles in South Africa. I assume Chery wants a slice of that pie. And there was a quote which my colleague, Ashley Oldfield, prepared for me. Please help me pronounce this. Zhang. Charlie Zhang.
Yeah.
Zhang. Okay. So he is the Chery International Executive Vice President. And I'll just quickly summarize his quote. But according to our planning, we will develop 2 pickups. One small, medium size. The other is a large one. Electric or PHEV. That is something we're planning for. Most of the pickups on the market are traditional body on frame. The other type of pickup is for urban use. It's a new lifestyle. We call it unibody pickup. It is developed on passenger vehicles, and cars such as the Hyundai Santa Cruz is a perfect example. So bakkies. What's happening on the Chery side with pickups?
I think bakkie market, as we know, in South Africa is almost a very big market. Every year is more than 100 and 150,000 units have been sold here. So in the head office point of view, I think we have one platform, like explaining earlier, is T1X platform. And this platform we are considering in building up some bakkies in this platform. So like Charlie Zhang mentioned, it can be different wheelbase. But what Chery is also busy that doing is, because the body that I think the very important that the consumer trend is, I think people need a bakkies go out for outdoor lifestyle adventure. Not too much off-road, but more like you can take off your families and go outdoor for like some
gravel roads.
Gravel road. So it's going to be something that's a unibody. It's not built in the
body on frame.
Body on the frame car. So it's more layer bakkies, but more passenger bakkie. So I think this is something I would say, other OEMs already entered, like Charlie Zhang mentioned, into this market. It's still a blue ocean market, I think, worldwide.
What do you mean by blue ocean market?
It's how to say that a lot of bakkies at this stage is built on the chassis. It's built on the chassis. Maybe it's more off-road.
Yes.
But the unibody pickup, I think there hasn't been too many. I think OEMs.
I see.
Too many OEM is starting
the ocean hasn't been fully explored yet. Yes,
I think the consumers' buying behavior deciding where the blue ocean is going to be. You know, so we think the consumer is buying demand is changing a little bit, but they need a bakkie can load something, but also for lifestyle. So for more, I think, information, because we are still in the very early stages. The project is in the designing phase now.
Okay.
So it's not too much information I can share, but what I can say is that I think that is being in the consideration that Chery is going to bring the bakkies in the near future. Yeah.
Well, look, at the speed you guys work, I'm sure it will be out by April, you know.
in the Beijing Auto Show, probably you will see that.
Yes, from design phase to on the road in 3 weeks. No, that's very exciting. And, you know, I think the way I see it, not everyone needs to load a ton, not even half a ton.
Yes, a half ton.
You're probably loading your dog and a surfboard at a kayak or whatever, you know. And I think the benefits of unibody, of course, is that you get a SUV like ride quality and NVH level. So, I mean, I agree with the strategy, and obviously, as Charlie Zhang said, there will. I'm sure, as maybe you can confirm the direction that it's going. Maybe you can't confirm the model lineup, but I imagine there will be ICE and new energy bakkies available.
Yeah, sure. I think that is ICE, because Chery, you see that our new energy strategy is also very clear. I think, like I mentioned before, that we have a very powerful platform. We call it the Kunpeng power, or this kind of either ICE or PHEVs, and even the BEVs. BEVs is on another platform.
Fully battery electric vehicle.
Yes. Yeah. So this is going to be the main platform in our future. That is for our power system. So PHEV definitely, most of vehicles we're going to have, like our Tiggo 8. End of this year, we're probably going to be the Tiggo 8 PHEV is going to be SOP.
That will be your first PHEV in SA, hey?
In Chery range.
Completely in the whole range.
In the Chery range.
Oh, sorry, and there's Jaecoo.
There's still Omoda and Jaecoo. We will chat that later.
Yeah.
So it's going probably next year, South African consumer can welcome this PHEV, which is plug-in hybrid. I think vehicles in South Africa. To give you an example, our plug-in hybrid power, what I mentioned is this platform, one fuel of tank, and actually fully a tank and a full electric.
Yes,
can goes to almost 1,600 kilometers.
What? That's the 1,000 miles, 1,000.
Yeah, more than 1,600. Recently, China had done a test which is our head office in Wuhu. Wuhu to Shenzhen is actually about 1,600 kilometers, and we finished in one full tank and one charge. One charge.
Word.
So that's why I think the PHEVs in South Africa, I think is more adapted to the local market.
In the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro PHEV, what is the before you use any petrol, what is the electric range that you can expect from a full charge?
It's in the pure electric. This kind of vehicle is roughly about 200.
200.
Left it between 150 to 200, like this.
That's like double what like the Volvos can do and the
like
Toyotas and
full electric mode, not including the yes.
So essentially, like let's say your drive to work is say 50 kilometers and you must drive 50 k's home. You don't have to use any petrol.
Yes,
what cruising speed can it do on electric?
It's on the electric is also South African. It's the highest speed currently. I think in China that they can do it roughly about 160, 180, roughly
180 on full electric.
It can even go higher on these things, but according to South African, because of the road regulations, I suggested 120. Okay.
Well, maybe for overtaking, maybe you need a little bit more.
Yes.
But these numbers are blowing my mind because I mean for the audience who maybe not a car nerd like me or like you, we a PHEV, say the RAV4, which Toyota is considering, or the Volvo. I mean, you'll do 120, 140 k's on electric in terms of top speed, but without using petrol. But those cars, the range I think is 80 to 120 k's on the full electric. So if you're talking about 200 k's and the ability to do 200 k's an hour. I mean, that's staggering numbers. And wow, I cannot wait to experience that.
You will see in the later of the year, and definitely we'll have some demo cars. Actually, in China, there is saying that most of the media is saying, "Oh, Chery is not good at doing this marketing." Why? That recently they have found out a situation is actually your car can do 1,600 kilometers, but in your spec sheet, you're saying your cars normally can only do 1,400. So the actual running is more.
Safety margin, yeah. But so when could a South African consumer walk onto a Chery showroom floor and buy a Tiggo 8 PHEV?
I think like I explained, end of this year, we're going to have SOP, and the South African consumer is welcomed next year.
I see.
So
okay.
for both Tiggo 8 and probably later on the Tiggo 7.
I see.
So plug-in hybrid will be available.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. You know, I've been lucky to drive, obviously, a few plug-in hybrids, and I drove the one that Toyota's testing, the RAV4. They gave it to us just for testing and for filming, but it hasn't been released onto the market yet. And I came away thinking that the PHEV is the best solution for South Africa. And I'm not against electric vehicles. I think BEVs have a future in South Africa, and I know there's a lot of concern about load shedding, and we can chat about that another time. But PHEVs, you've got the benefit of electric, you've got the backup of and the sort of safety net and the engine and the petrol tank, which basically removes range anxiety. You can never get stuck anywhere. If you arrive in the middle of the Karoo at a petrol station and the charger is down or there's load shedding, you just put petrol in the tank. It's a great solution for South Africa. However, the one drawback, obviously, is that the PHEV has essentially two complete drivetrains, which drives up the R&D cost, which drives up the build cost of the vehicle. And has Chery, with your development prowess, how much are we looking at over and above a Tiggo 8? I'm sure you can't give me an exact number, but it is going to be a bit more. But how has Chery managed to manage that extra cost and development cost so that the consumer benefits?
Yeah. I think that is a very good question. Apparently, we got the technology backup. Chery's technology is not only for ICE. We also have PHEVs, plug-in hybrid, and also BEVs. So in this year is a lot of new PHEVs and BEVs going to be launched in the market, in the domestic market. So I think it's very important that actually that South Africa can consider in the future to have really something policy. In the industry policy to making some adapted to the local OEM to considering to bring their battery factories even in South Africa. Why I'm saying that? Because the most expensive part in the PHEV or BEV vehicles, I think is a battery.
Yes.
So I think the majority cost is from the battery side. So we are trying in China that we also having our R&D center for our battery, but it's not our own battery. We also outsource. I think, as you know, globally the very famous battery brand is all either located in Japan, in Korea, or in China. So to bring the down cost down, I think is need a lot of efforts for the new technology to be evolving, to be advanced, and at this stage, it's still the biggest cost, I think, in the battery side. And yes, to answer your question, I think the price is going to be a lot higher. Slightly, it's going to be higher than the ICE. Yeah. And to what extent I cannot answer you, but definitely I think we're still doing some feasibility studies, but we will try to making our price as much as affordable for South African consumers.
I have no doubt, because the Tiggo 7 Pro, I really like that car a lot. We've got a video on the channel. We'll put a link above me here somewhere and in the description. Yeah. But, the value proposition there is amazing. It's cheaper than like a hatchback, and you get full-size SUV, all the features. So I totally believe you when you say that the PHEV is going to be good value. And I mean, there's a couple of things which I really want to chat to you about, but and I'm having so much fun jumping around, if you don't mind. But I think something that is hugely important to our market, to South Africa, is the employment created by the manufacturing industry, the OEMs. Currently, there are 7 in South Africa. 2 more are confirmed, BAIC and Stellantis, and the job growth and the job creation, obviously, from vehicle, the retail side and the manufacturing side, is critical, I think, to South Africa's success. So how does Chery feel about manufacturing on local soil?
Yes, that is, I think, always a very important question for the OEM to answer. I think to be part of the local society and to contribute to the local society is always our aim. As you can see, before we answer this question, I think just want to 1 or 2 minutes. I want to elaborate on Chery has been doing on that, contributing on the local society.
You're welcome. Yeah.
So actually, the Chery is. Our philosophy is when we go out to explore a new market, not only to selling cars, but also really get involved to build the country together with a local consumer and also together with the local partners. So as you can see that since we started the Chery South Africa, I think we have done a lot of charity related events that in South Africa.
Wonderful.
In 2021 and 2022, when the KZN flooded, and because of the big storm, we have also we have together with the dealers, we're donating a fully loaded truck of food and blankets to the local community that to show our showcasing about Chery's social responsibility in that regards.
So your dealers and head office got involved together.
Actually, his dealer is saying, okay, I'm donating 10,000 rand or 20,000. Together we have.
Oh, that's great.
We have donating quite a lot. I mean, together with the local community, and also whenever I think last year there's also a big flooded. I think in Cape Town, in Cape Town as well.
Yes,
and also we are also the very first response together with our dealer to give some blankets away and also some food and together to the local community, and also and different kinds of events is happening. And also on the other side, I think we have an initiative called With Chery with Love. I think this is a customer-focused initiative, which is we encouraging our customer even to get involved in this kind of charity together with us and to contribute more responsibilities, social responsibility together to South Africa.
I see.
So this is something that we have been keep on doing, as I explained to you that. Customer focusing is one of our main strategy. I think we not only want to customer feel the high value of the product, but also we want them to feel when they get involved with Chery Love event, they are part of the big Chery family in building a better South Africa. So this is just a nutshell of what we did in the local building up the local society. But I think another very important how actually to creating more jobs. I think in South African is actually the OEM need to come into the country and also build up the factory.
Yeah.
So that is some thing that we are busy considering and actually doing some feasibility studies.
Oh, so there's already feasibility studies.
We're doing some feasibility study, but not a final conclusion because I think this is a very complicated, that feasibility study we need to do. We need to consider not only from South African but also neighboring countries, African countries, and exporting to the other destination. As you know, that majority of the local production is exported into other countries.
Like 70 to 80%.
And most of the exported. So for the South African, if we only supply to the local markets, I think the volume is not going to be enough. We have to consider globally strategy. And at this stage, we already have some Indonesia Malaysia.
Yeah.
We have KD factories. But possibly another solution is we're also looking, but we haven't decided yet. So to set up that factory, there are also a lot of challenges, I think, in South Africa.
And a hell of a lot of money. It's a huge investment.
Yes. And
billions,
And to managing a factory, then only managing a local that sells subsidiary company, I think definitely that will be 10 more times difficult.
Yeah.
You know,
would South Africa is such a great springboard to as a manufacturing base to then distribute into sub-Saharan Africa and maybe Northern Africa as well.
Yeah.
But does, for instance, to your current knowledge of the feasibility, and maybe you can't speak to this, but would the sub-Saharan African market then justify the investment if you manufactured and distributed from here?
Yeah. Well, African is a very, I think, the biggest booming, I would say the highest increasing on the GDP still, because I think the foundation in overall total. I think that in total, African market, if you look at a total, I think it's roughly about 1.2 million for the new car sales.
Yeah.
But South African is almost the half of this. Half of this
I didn't realize that. That's
new car
incredible.
sales. So South Africa is becoming a manufacturing harbor, I think, for all the 7 OEMs.
Yeah.
So there is a big potential in Africa, especially a lot of new policy on the government corporation they are busy pushing. But I think that will need to take time. And also the tech reform hasn't started. It's going to start, but in some of the countries, I think the car industry is not yet there. So we still need to having some, some local strong policy to fostering this kind of demand, not only from the consumer, but not only from the government, but maybe from the OEM side together. How actually to boosting this kind of demand?
Yeah.
Because of the demand, once the demand is there, then it will be much easier for the OEM to justify.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the volume is not there. I think it's difficult.
I mean, I was really lucky to tour Karicha, big, obviously long-established manufacturing facility for a German brand. And, walking around that factory, I found it impossible not to have hope for this country. It felt amazing. And first of all, watching cars being made, as I'm sure you have, is like an overwhelming, powerful experience. It is incredible how cars are made and how fast they are made. And but the feeling I left when I left that factory was of hope that South Africa has a real future, and to see the investment coming in. And I mean, what's quite interesting is to look at, say, Ford with Silverton, and they send knockdown kits to, I think, Nigeria. So perhaps that could be integrated into the business model as well with Chery.
Yeah, that's something we definitely will consider.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we'll look at doing some of the feasibility study. At this stage, we also have some factories already in Egypt. Because in Egypt, Egypt we're having some local distributor, which is having a CKD factory.
CKD is the knockdown. Hey?
Yeah, completely knockdown. Completely knocked down because the local distributor is very strong. So its market share is almost the number currently, I think number 2. So it's quite big.
Wow.
Market share in Egypt.
Yes. So just for some context, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for our audience that may not be familiar with the term, essentially the car is basically manufactured and shipped in a box, so to speak, to a facility in another country, which then assembles the car and it is sold on essentially in local and regional markets. So just some context if you're watching and you're unfamiliar with the term, but it's a really interesting way of manufacturing and getting your products to different markets. Yeah. But talking about new products, and I'm sure you're very excited about this because we're recording this in sort of end of February, and we'll get the video out soon, end of February 2024. But it just landed at your head office and about to be tested by dealers and on South African roads is a brand new brand to our country, and that is Jaecoo. How are you feeling about Jaecoo? I mean, the head office must be, and dealers must be excited.
Yes, Jaecoo is very excited for us. Another new brand we're going to launch. Actually, it falls into our big strategy under Chery Holding. So Chery Holding, we not only have Chery as a mainstream brand, but also have it's a sub brand like Omoda and Jaecoo.
Yes.
So Omoda and Jaecoo is targeting very different customer. As you can see that I think Omoda is a little more fashion, futuristic, but Jaecoo is a little bit off-road. Not that heavy off-road, but still light off-road.
So gravel.
Gravel road, and also having a very still high-tech product. So we are targeting very different kinds of customers. So on the Jaecoo recently, that we have done the brand launch already, and we have some cars arrived in the country. As sooner it's going to be available and to you as well to test it.
I can't wait. I know, I mean, my colleague Hannes and yourself and a bunch of, or a couple of motoring journos went to go look at them. And I mean, Hannes, you know, I call Hannes the Oracle. You know, I mean, if you're not familiar with Hannes Oosthuizen, and check him out on social media. He's been with Cars.co.za for nearly 10 years, but he was also the youngest editor ever of Car Magazine. And I defer to his opinion and insights, and I respect them very much. And he said to me he was blown away by the Jaekoos.
Yeah, I think Jaekoos is really offering a really real value to our targeting customer. The Jaekoos slogan is "From classic, beyond classic." I think
from classic,
beyond
classic. Okay,
I think a classic is something I don't need to mention too much, but you can know what I'm saying because Chery has a joint venture with Jaguar and Land Rover. I think that is
a joint venture with Jaguar Land Rover.
Yeah, in China.
Oh, in China. So you build cars there for under that brand for the Chinese market.
In domestic market.
Okay.
Domestic. We JV together, but it's a Jaguar Land Rover that history. So it's something I think you will see the car as having a classic design, but what is beyond classic is the interior, the technology in the car. I think that like the HUD display, all the ADAS system, even all the the 4-wheel drive, all the tractions, all the 4-wheel drive system. So that is something I think is beyond the classic. So Jaecoo is at this stage that Omoda and Jaecoo, we also having a different strategy and towards the other OEMs, how they running the business. Yeah. Currently, Chery, we have laid out a foundation, I think, for the Chery consumers, for the Chery brand. But Omoda and Jaecoo is a different team is going to run with a different dealer network. So in other words,
so new dealers.
Yes, new dealers.
Standalone.
Standalone. Yes, a standalone. Omoda and Jaecoo is integrated. It's going to be in one showroom. Like you go to the left, it's Omoda style, and you go to the right, it's Jaecoo style.
I see. Okay, so in South African suburbs and cities, you're going to have Chery branded dealers, and then Omoda and Jaecoo branded dealers out of the same place. Okay, I understand. Okay.
So it's going to be something that separate. It's not allowed at this stage. We're saying to the dealer network is you can put into the Chery. And until that's going to be a separate showroom. So we will see that going to be separate, totally separate in the future, that from the Chery showroom. So that is something we're busy. At this stage, we already have 35 dealers.
Chery dealers?
No, the Omoda and Jaecoo. Omoda and Jaecoo dealers have already give them permanent signed up ROI that they're busy building up the new showroom for us. You will see some dealers already starting the renovations, the head logo is about several is already. So it's happening now. So it's going to be a very separate showroom that compared with Chery. It's not going to be sold.
So a whole different CI, whole different showroom feel, different design, different furniture.
Yes, we'll need that because we're targeting a very unique and different customer sale. Omoda is a Queen style, and Jaecoo is Mr. J. Mr. James Bond style, it's a different style at different consumer behavior. The very important, we need to look at what the consumer, I think, wanted. So that's why I think we have the strategy is to separating the operation of this brand. And in other words, you will also see that in our head office, we also two different team operating the business. Chery, we got a Chery team. Omoda and Jaecoo we got an Omoda Jaecoo team. two different teams.
So you've hired and you're hiring.
Yes, more people, definitely.
Wow. So
at this stage, we got almost 60 people. It's almost 20 is, I think, in the Omoda and Jaecoo side. The others is roughly about Chery side.
But that's great. I mean, creating employment and new dealerships, and those will create employment. I mean, it's a very positive story. Yeah. And okay, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 Jaekoos are coming, J7 and J9 here.
Yes, it's going to be J8.
Oh, sorry, J8.
Yes, so that's going to be a little bit later this year. And in the future, we'll also consider a J6 and even a J5.
Oh, wow.
And also Omoda is going to have C9 and also a C3, even a C7.
Oh, wow.
So it's going to be a lot of product in 2 years' time.
So you're going to be selling maybe 4 Jaekoos, then maybe 4 Omodas, and then Chery, you've got Tiggo 4, Tiggo 7, Tiggo 8, and am I missing anything?
Yeah.
So that's 3 plus 4, so 8. You got 11, and then you're going to be selling bakkies one day.
that is on the Chery side, but this is just to give you some roughly idea that what a lot of product is going to come out from both the brand, even Chery, Omoda, and Jaecoo. Obviously, some is the timing still confirming, but it's going to having a lot of R&D that in China that we're busy with already.
So we have a lot of content on our channel, Chery, and we've got a lot of articles on Jaecoo, and as soon as we can, we will film the car and put it on the YouTube channel. But help me understand, so how are you positioning Jaecoo, Omoda, and Chery in the market in terms of pricing and segment? And I mean, is Jaecoo what you would call your most premium offering, and then Chery and then Omoda, or am I getting it a bit wrong? Or
I wouldn't call it like that way.
Okay.
I think both Chery, Omoda, and Jaecoo is volume brand.
Okay.
So Chery is a volume brand. We also need a volume brand for Omoda and Jaecoo. If I call it more accurate, because I see some journalists is called luxury brand of Chery, Omoda and Jaecoo, whatever. I would call it more affordable luxury.
Affordable luxury.
Still have that kind of luxury feel in the car and all kind of technology, but it's also affordable for the consumer.
So will your Jaecoo pricing, will it overlap Chery and maybe the J9 and the C9, the Omoda, will they be the most expensive products you sell?
Yeah, obviously at this stage is the C9 and also even the J8, and also Chery also going to have the Tiggo 9 in the future. That is also all the high flagship product. Okay. But obviously the price range, I think very competitive, is between 300 to 500. This
for which brand?
I mean, it's just talking about the price bracket.
Oh, see, okay.
I think it's very competitive in that price bracket.
Yes.
So, if you're saying that Jaecoo at this stage that we're still doing some final discussions with our dealer to making the price more attractive and also affordable. But we also need to consider all kinds of duties, all things into the considerations. So it's going to be very attractive. What I can say to you is
attractive. I like that word. So I'll give you my WhatsApp number. When you got the pricing, you just drop me a voice note.
Okay. No problem. I will make you the first one to take the first one, Jaecoo, and you becoming Mr. J. We call him Mr. Jaecoo.
There we go, James Bond. I like it. Sure, totally. It feels like we could do this all day. I mean, at some point we're going to run out of card space on the cameras. I mean, you're going to have to come back. I mean, we should maybe do this like once a quarter, and we update our audience on what's happening with your 3 brands. And I mean, you're very welcome here. Always, you pop in for coffee, you and your team, and it's lovely to have Verena and you here. And like I say, I mean, it's been this is a positive story, for South Africa, and I appreciate the efforts that have gone in, and I wish you every success.
Thank you. Really such an honor to invite me to here to have a conversation and discuss what's happening between us and also the industry. It's such an honor.
It's our pleasure, and I mean, I'm so glad to, it was a 6-month build here, and we now can host people in comfort and offer a coffee. Yeah. How would you rate the coffee?
I would rate it 5.
5 stars.
No, 5 stars.
Yeah,
5
there
stars.
we go.
Okay.
There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, amazing. The coffee is good, and I even found these beautiful red Italian cappuccino cups and sauces. Look at those. We're going to have those branded. I tell you what, we'll send you some of these when they're branded, and then you can
branded at Chery
in your head office.
Yes.
You can remember us by our cappuccino cups. Tony, Mr. Tony Liu, Executive Deputy General Manager of Chery South Africa. Thank you. I have enjoyed this thoroughly. I hope you have too.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. And to our audience, thank you very much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We have a ton of Chery, Omoda, Jaecoo, increasingly more Jaecoo content as we get our hands on the cars. Tony promised me off camera that we're going to be the first to shoot it. I'm joking. But we'd love to shoot the Jaecoo. So as soon as you're ready, you phone Ashley or Vereen and we'll sort it out. I want to drive that car. I want to get it on the channel as soon as possible.
Okay.
South Africans are dying to hear about it.
Yeah, sure.
So to our audience, thank you very much. We'll put all of our Chery content in the links below, or just hit our YouTube channel and our site and just search Chery, Omoda and Jaecoo. Tony, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Right.
Thank you, all the audience as well.
Amazing. Let's go get some lunch. I'm hungry.
Thank you.
Cars.co.za. Not only is Cars.co.za the best place to find your dream car, but it's also the easiest place to sell your current car. Check out the sell car section on our main website. Simply list your car's details and all of our dealers will take bids on your car. You just choose the highest price. Boom, your car's gone. On to your next one. Right, thanks very much for watching the video. Okay, I think I'm done. Yeah, I'm finished now.